absolutely had a meltdown. I never really even thought about or knew about fibroids at all until I found out that I had one.
Feels like there is a foreign object inside of my body.
Like I've been poked and prodded and scanned and Hello. Today I'm sort of branching out of my normal videos to talk to you guys about some stuff that's been going on lately with my health and crazy stuff. And I hope that by making this video or this series of videos, it can help some other people out there who may be going through this or might not know that they have this condition, so that they can maybe go to their doctor to have it looked into further. I was recently diagnosed with uterine fibroids. I want to get into sort of like how I discovered them and sort of take you guys through the process of how I'm going to get rid of them, because I'm in the early stages of it, and so I figured I could just take you guys along for the journey. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jessica. I typically make videos about fashion, travel, lifestyle, all that great stuff. And if you've been around for a while, then you know that I really do like to take care of myself. A lot of times in my vlogs, I'm going to the gym, I'm eating healthy. I've done like some weight loss related videos in the past where I've tried different things to, lose weight or get more fit. So that's really something that I prioritize a lot in my life, is taking care of myself, looking the best that I can, feeling the best that I can. About a year and a half ago, I started noticing when I would go to the gym, I would do my HIIT workouts, which if you aren't familiar with what that means, HIIT is like an acronym that stands for high intensity interval training. And that's basically where you do short spurts of very intense cardiovascular exercise, and then you recover, bring your heart rate down, and then you spike your heart rate back up. These workouts you typically do for like 10 to 20 to 30 minutes tops, and I personally only do them like once or twice a week. Always sort of done workouts like this. I used to do like a workout like this every single day until I realized like that wasn't really healthy. So my body is very conditioned to doing this type of workout. And I started noticing that if I would do sprints or any type of high intensity interval workout where my heart rate, which I can track on my Apple Watch, would get up really high, within 10 to 15 minutes of that type of workout, I would start to get just the worst lower abdominal pain ever. Kind of like, the only way I can sort of like liken it to is like when you get food poisoning and you have like those intestinal sort of cramps that lead to, having to get on the toilet. Times like it would kind of feel like really bad period cramps. And so I would have to stop the workout, and after like maybe 10 to 15 minutes of resting and not doing anything, the pain would go away, and I could either go back to finishing my workout, or just sometimes I would just stop for the day because I would just be like, ugh, I don't want to be in pain anymore and do that again. So I just kind of figured that was strange, and I started going to the doctor like about a year ago, finally like making use of my health insurance. I know. But when I went to my checkup with my doctor that I initially went to, I mentioned this to him, and he literally told me that it probably was due to the fact that I was pushing myself too hard, and that it's my body's way of telling me to back off. I just thought that was like such a lazy response, like I was like, what? And I tried to explain to him, I've always been athletic. I've always been in great shape. I was a competitive figure skater when I was younger. I've always maintained a certain level of athletic ability and stamina, and I just don't think that could be correct. And he was like, well, you're 36, so you can't really like do the things that you used to do when you were in your 20s. And I personally still feel like physically in my 20s, like I don't feel old. I don't feel like I'm in my 30s. I don't feel like my body feels old. My body to me feels very capable and able to do things. So I really was irritated by that answer, and I just didn't know what to do in that moment, because like he's a doctor and he's telling me like this is how it is. So I just kind of left the doctor's office that day and thought like, okay, well, I guess I just have to deal with it and live with it. And so I would still go do these workouts. I would still like, get into extreme pain, but I would do it anyway.
Try this one. No pain, no gain.
And I just thought, this is something I have to deal with. Fast forward to like months later, I'm telling my hairstylist about this when I'm getting my hair done, and she's like, I've heard of other clients of mine have a similar issue, and they had a hernia. Starting to look up what a hernia is, and at first I thought that that's what I had, because a lot of times the hernias do happen like in your lower abdominal area, and they can cause that kind of pain. And so she was like, does something stick out of your stomach? Do you notice that? Have you ever felt down there? And I'm like, I don't think so. So then it got me thinking. I left my hair appointment and I came home, looked in the mirror, and I had been thinking for a while that my lower stomach just always looked bloated all the time. And I was getting kind of frustrated about it, but it wasn't so bad that I was like super noticing it. It was just something that in passing I would look in the mirror and be like, what time of the month is it again? Just seemed like it would be bloated all month long for months on end. I did end up feeling down there, and it did feel like there was something hard. I was like, okay, I need to go back to the doctor and talk to them, but I'm not going back to that doctor. And let me tell you, I wish I could name names, because this doctor was truly so bad. He told me some other really whack thing. I want to save like other women in Los Angeles from ever going to this man, because he was just absolutely terrible. Anyway, I found a new doctor who was a woman, and I voiced my concerns again. I told her my symptoms and that I felt like a lump down there, and she kind of felt down there, and she's like, well, I don't really feel anything, but I'll schedule you a CT scan so that we can see like if there's anything going on down there. So at least she listened to me, right? That's the thing. Like, if you have a doctor who's dismissing your pain, dismissing your concerns, you need to try to find another doctor if it's possible for you, like financially or within your insurance to do so. I'm still speechless at some of the things my previous doctor said to me. Anyway, I went and got my CT scan, and it turned out I have a 16 by 12 inch fibroid in my uterus, or around my, like, I don't know if it's in or outside of my uterus, but that's what the CT scan showed. And my doctor called me, and she was like, yeah, so you have like a really big fibroid, like it's really big. And I'm like, yeah, fibroids, they're tumors, but they're benign most of the time. They're not dangerous or cancerous. So it's nothing to worry about in terms of that, likely, but it is huge, and it's interfering with my life, my ability to exercise. And I really feel like it's also causing other things that I also just kind of was attributing to other factors. Like, my periods have been like so heavy lately. Maybe that's TMI, but this is, I'm sure, helpful if you are going through this too, to like compare your symptoms to mine. They have never been heavy in my entire life, but they've been so bad lately. I've started having cramps, like not every cycle, but every 3 cycles or something, I'll have bad cramps. And I never had these things before. And I always kind of chalked it up to the fact that I got off birth control, like maybe a couple years ago, 3 years ago, I want to say. And so I always thought like, oh, I'm having bad periods now because when I was on birth control, it kind of like lessened my period and made it lighter and no cramps and all that jazz. But now I'm thinking to myself, maybe I have had these symptoms because I was developing these fibroids and I just didn't know. All of my PAPs up until this point have all come back normal. Doctors are not looking for fibroids when they are doing your PAPs. And if you have small ones, they're not going to be concerned. But mine have just grown so much. I'll put a picture of me when I was in Greece last summer in a bathing suit, and my stomach was completely flat. I've always had a really flat stomach, and I'll put some photos of what it looks like now, just to know that like it had to have grown so much, like in the last 8 months when I started noticing like being bloated. Like, it's crazy to me that it could grow that fast, but I guess it did. I've done like a little bit of research to try to figure out how this could have happened. So first of all, fibroids can be hereditary or genetic. So you might want to talk to your mom, talk to your aunts, your grandma, to see if they've ever had this in their past, to see if you're maybe genetically predisposed to it. Also, the higher percentage of women who are likely to get fibroids are African American or African women. I don't think they understand why. Again, it is a genetic thing. They also say that if you're deficient in vitamin D, you can develop them, or if you have a hormonal imbalance and you produce like too much estrogen, then fibroids can also form. Which I have kind of thought maybe for a while my hormones maybe were imbalanced, and that was another thing that I asked my doctor for in that same checkup last year, because I wanted to have my hormones checked out to see if like my thyroid was doing well and everything, because I felt like for a while like I've just been having a hard time like losing weight. despite all my best efforts. And the same doctor, he was like, oh, you don't need to have your hormones checked. You're fine. Sir, if I ask you for a hormone test, please just do it. Yeah, they don't really know how it happens. There's really not been very many studies done to understand it, because the lovely medical industry doesn't seem to like to research women's issues and women's bodies as much as it does like to research men. So we don't really know or how you can absolutely prevent them from happening. And I have sort of looked up like, okay, like if I was estrogen dominant, how would that have happened? Or how would you keep yourself from being that? And all the advice says to like eat healthy, exercise regularly, don't be too stressed, get enough sleep, eat enough protein in your diet, like pretty much all these things that I already do. So I don't know, man. So trying to go through the process of getting more imaging scans done, because I guess they want to look at my fibroids really, really well before they decide a course of treatment. Tomorrow I'm going to get my first ever MRI. I've already had an ultrasound done. It was a transvaginal ultrasound, which was
like not fun, y'all.
I stick like a rod thing up your, look around in there, and it's not like painful or anything. It's just awkward. So I've had a CT scan, I've had an ultrasound, and tomorrow I'll have my MRI. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've ever gone through this, or if you're currently going through this, and what your experience was, because I'm always just curious to hear about other people's experiences, and I'm sure other people watching this video would like to read about other experiences in the comments as well. So please feel free to comment down below. But yeah, I'm gonna go and make some dinner. That's where I'm gonna leave off for now. I'll see you guys in the morning on the way to the MRI. Hello and good morning. I am so nervous. Like, people keep asking me if I'm claustrophobic, and I'm like, I don't think so.
But I just want this thing out. Like, I look like I'm 3 months pregnant right now. I'll show you an insert of what I look like if I'm like just standing up, or when I'm laying down, it's really, really obvious. And like some days it doesn't bother me, but some days like today I can feel it inside my body. It feels like there is a foreign object inside of my body. It feels hard. If I twist a certain way, I can feel it moving in there, and it's really creepy. I already have like body dysmorphia issues. So just to like have my stomach be so distended and feel like I can't wear things, and just the last month has been like an absolute mindfuck. I want it out so badly. So I'm hoping this morning with this MRI, I'm one more step closer to the doctors figuring out how they want to remove it. I gotta go.
Oh my God. I absolutely had a meltdown in my MRI. They kept asking if I was claustrophobic, and I was like, no, I think I'm fine. I think I'll be okay. Honestly, I don't think it was the claustrophobia, because what happened was I was getting 2 different MRIs done at the same time for my pelvic area, for my fibroids. And then also when I did my first CT scan, for my fibroids, they saw some nodules near my spine that they wanted to check out. They were a little bit higher up in my torso, so I was getting like also an abdominal CT scan as well. So they did the pelvic one first, and that lasted about 25 minutes or something. And then they pulled me out for a second, and they're like, okay, now we're going to start the abdominal one. And then that's going to last another 20 something minutes. And then when we're done with that, we'll push the contrast dye, and we'll do that portion of the MRIs. So I got through the chest one, and then they pushed, but like towards like the end of the 20-ish minutes of my chest, like abdomen MRI, I started to get so uncomfortable. Like my lower back is just not good, and laying on that really hard surface, just flat for so long, like my lower back was starting to hurt so bad. And when you do the chest one, there's like certain parts where you have to like hold your breath. With the pelvic one, you just kind of lay there, and it's loud, but it is what it is. So anyway, they're like telling me to hold my breath, and the girl came over the speaker, and she was like, okay, we're going to push the contrast dye. And if you've ever had, or if you've never had contrast dye injected into you for an imaging test, it kind of makes you feel like sort of flushed. And I had it before in my CT scan, so I thought I knew what to expect. But for whatever reason, when they pushed the dye, it made me just so hot immediately. I just instantly started to feel so uncomfortable. my back really started to hurt. I really wanted to like reposition myself to like get comfortable, and I couldn't because I knew I needed to lay still. So I was kind of freaking out, and my back was just like hurting so bad. The thing was telling me to hold my breath. I could barely breathe as it was because I was like basically starting to have a panic attack. So they give you a little ball in one of your hands to squeeze in case you really need to come out of the MRI. And I really didn't want to squeeze it, but I did because like I literally didn't know how I was going to last 7 more minutes in there, holding my breath and everything with the way that my back was feeling. So they pulled me out. I literally had a panic attack. Like I was like sweating profusely, just absolutely instantly. And I like felt like I couldn't breathe. They gave me some water, which I barely drank for like 5 minutes. Finally, I kind of calmed down, and they were like, "Can we finish the test?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I can go back in, but can I please have a pillow for underneath my knees?" Because I feel like when you're laying flat like that, if you have something underneath your knees to support your lower back, it makes it a lot better. And she was like, "Yeah," and pulls out this whole huge like pillow that's like specifically shaped to put under somebody's knees. I'm like, why didn't you offer me that in the first place? Anyway, I couldn't really finish the chest abdominal MRI because of how the contrast had already been pushed through my body, and the girl said that the radiologists are very particular about how they like it to be done. So she said we could go back in and finish the pelvic exam, and I would probably have to come back and do the rest for my chest because I messed it up by coming out. Which is fine because my pelvic fibroid thing was like the more important test that I needed to get done. So I'm glad that at least I got through that. All that MRI stuff, that's not for me. If you have a bad back, ask them before you go in if you can have like something to put underneath your knees, because that will help alleviate some of the pressure on your lower back. Waiting on the results. And now that I have all of my imaging tests, I have my appointment with an OBGYN on Wednesday. I have never been to this OBGYN, so I hope they're good. Hopefully on Wednesday morning, I will get some more clarity and know what is the path forward from here, because yeah, I'm just over this whole process, to be honest. I feel like I've been poked and prodded and scanned, and I'm ready to be done. I will check back in with you guys on Wednesday after I get done with the OB to talk about what they say. I just got done with my OBGYN appointment not too long ago. I basically had all of my suspicions and sort of research thoughts confirmed. I will be having an open myomectomy. There is absolutely no way for me to have my fibroid removed laparoscopically because it's too big. According to the doctor, he said it's just way too big for them to just make to do laparoscopically, because with that they make little small incisions and they remove things piece by piece. And so essentially if they tried to do that with my fibroid, it would take a long time. I would be on the operating table for a long time. So they don't want to do that. I obviously feel like that's probably not smart anyway. And he said, feel free if you want to go get a second opinion from another gynecologist and they can do it laparoscopically, like go for it. But he's like, I just don't feel like it's small enough to do that. And I totally see where he's coming from. Like, I understand that to be true. He basically was like, you can remove it, you can not remove it, but it's just going to get bigger if it stays in there. And so obviously I want to have it removed as soon as possible because I really don't want it to get any bigger. Also because of the fact that, then my next question was about like the cut that they would have to do, and like, could he make it like as, low and non-noticeable as possible. And he basically said, yes, what he does is a bikini cut, which is a horizontal cut that's basically so low that you don't even see it if you're wearing a bikini, which I definitely don't like wearing low-rise bikini bottoms anyway, so that is fine. I am kind of like low-key worried about like how it's going to heal and if my stomach will just be able to be flat down there, if I'm going to have issues, because I've definitely heard of women who have C-sections having like a little bit of like a shelf where their scar is, but I guess that's like, it is what it is kind of a thing. But he did say like the size that it is now, he thinks that he can just do like a small horizontal cut and that will be enough. And he's like, if it gets any bigger, then I would have to do a vertical cut also. So that is another reason why I want to get it out as soon as possible, because I just don't want it to get any bigger. He said that it is a pendicular, I'll put it on the screen what it is, but that essentially means that my fibroid is attached to the outside of my uterus and it's attached to it by a stalk, which I think is so disgusting to think about. because it is on the outside of my uterus, it should be a pretty straightforward procedure. They basically go in, they detach the stalk, take it out, and it should be pretty easy for them to do. And it also, because it's not embedded in the lining of my uterus or inside of my uterus, that it will be likely that when and if I do have a child in the future, that I won't be required to have a C-section when I have my baby, which honestly, I kind of feel like if I'm going to have this bikini scar anyway now, might as well just have a C-section and forego all that pushing. Anyway, that's like a whole other topic. The good thing is that my fibroid, where it is, it will be easy for them to take out, and it won't be as like crazy to my future fertility as I was fearing that it would be. So that is good. He did definitely ask me when the last time I had a pap smear was, and it has been way too long. So it's possible that maybe this could have been caught if I would have been going to the gynecologist more regularly over the past several years, which I admittedly have not. And I was going to go this year. I knew I was due this year. So, but then all of this happened. So it is maybe possible that they could have found this if I would have had regular gynecologist appointments and checkups. So I guess definitely make sure that you're not skipping on those. And I wish they could have caught this when they were smaller, because I would prefer to have the laparoscopic procedure, but here we are. I asked him if there was anything that I could have done to prevent this, because I do know from my research that a body that creates fibroids is going to continue to create them, and there's about a 30 to a 40% chance of your fibroids growing back even after you have this surgery, which is a huge bummer. Is it my estrogen levels? He basically said no, like that they don't really know why fibroids happen or what causes them to happen, and that women's hormones naturally do fluctuate from from month to month with your cycle. So I don't know. He didn't really seem to give me a very thought out answer to that. And I still feel like maybe there could be something to having a hormone imbalance. I just want this thing out so bad. And I have been on such a struggle with my mental health and my body dysmorphia in the last several weeks. I had a couple events that I went out to the other night with some friends, and I went to get dressed and I just hated the way that I looked and everything. I tried to put on certain things and they were tight across my waist, and I just I almost just freaking lost it and just canceled my plans because I just felt so crappy about my body. Right now I'm wearing this cute dress and I love it, but it's like a flowy dress. It's an empire waist, it flows out, and I just feel like I can't have fun with fashion right now because I just am so hung up on my insecurity about the way that I look, and I hate that I am this way. And I really envy people who are able to just fully accept and love their bodies no matter what they look like. It's so difficult for me. I have always had such a huge problem with body dysmorphia, and I feel like having this issue has made it so much more difficult. I feel like before I knew that I had this issue officially, I was really locking in my nutrition and going hard at the gym. I work out every single day. I eat healthy. I track with an app, every single thing I put into my mouth. I bought a walking pad for my office so that I can walk while I'm working. I mean, I walk more steps a day in the last month than I have ever walked. And it just feels like it's not doing anything. And it would be one thing if I felt like it was just my stomach, but it feels like it's affecting my whole body in a way. And so I really wonder if it being in there is affecting my hormone levels in a different way to make me not be able to lose weight or to maybe gain weight, or if it's because it's where it's positioned, it's maybe pushing on my my intestines or my urinary tract. I don't know if it's causing digestive issues. It feels like it is. I don't want to get too into the grossness of that, but it definitely does feel like it is. So I just feel really discouraged, and I feel really frustrated because my OBGYN told me that it might take 3 to 4 weeks just for the insurance company to approve his request for my surgery, which is so long. I just want to go in tomorrow and just have it done. I'm so tired of this. I just want to get back to how I used to be. I just want to get on the road to recovery and just be on the path to put this behind me. I hope that this video either helps you understand maybe what's going on in your body, maybe lets you know about what fibroids even are, because I just personally never knew about them. I feel like if I would have had some more knowledge about this, and the fact that 70% of women will get these in their lifetime, it's that's the vast majority of women. It's crazy. So I hope this video helps inform you in some way, or maybe even just gave you someone to relate to in your situation, because I know I've watched a bunch of these videos on YouTube trying to research and like find out how other women dealt with this, and just watching other people's stories and knowing that like other people go through it has just been very helpful to me. So I hope that, you know, this video was helpful in some way. And please, if you want to see my journey, I'm going to be documenting it. The next video will probably be like my pre-op stuff that I'm going to bring with me to the hospital, all of that jazz. So make sure to subscribe. I also do a lot of really fun like fashion and lifestyle content here. So anyway, I would love to have you along for like my normal content too, if that sounds like something you're interested in. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I realize this was a long video. Well, that's it for now. I'll see you guys soon, hopefully. Bye.